one,
Let me say your
you know,
last
the
name, because
whole
I
thing
know
wasn't,
Sigma, not stigma.
especially when I
No
went
T.
to the concentration camps, Dachau and
Make sure I
Auschwitz.
don't screw it up.
It's
You have
okay
to
if you
join a
do.
group to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm one of 6
But-
kids and we all have S names, so if
So
you
I've
call
been
me
to-
anything with an S,
Had
I'll
a-
answer it.
Had a
Wow.
mixture
Wow.
of
So I'm gonna
things
become, my husband's
where
one of
I
6.
had guides telling me, a lot of times
My
I'd
new
have a
daughter
guide
is
in
one
the
of
middle
11.
day. And then on
And they're
the
all
third day,
And then
going
all
and
the
see
girls
other
have
places
H
that I
names,
learned about the second.
and all the boys have us their dad's name. Well, they have the first
What
letter.
was the
of
most
his name, I
impressive?
can't remember what it is.
Concentration
It-
camps,
yeah,
I
so
guess?
they did the same thing.
My whole life, I'm San Susie,
Yeah.
Really learned a lot about
Somebody
Whatever your
answer
name
me.
is.
Somebody answer me.
When her parents run through their
And
children,
learned
it's
a lot about the Balkan
Yep.
it's just like
states
that. Yeah, his
and
names.
kind of what their relationship
We're
has
close,
been
right?
like.
I have.
So I encourage
we
you
have-
to go to
Yeah.
It's right at 6.
I liked Poland a lot. I liked Germany.
We'll give you guys the 30-second warning here.
all that friends-
So you went to Munich, did you go to Salzburg?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
They're gonna make you
Only
gavel.
veered off of my pain.
I can't even remember what she said on that trip.
You guys have a 10-second warning.
Okay.
Get started.
Well, let's
I was
just,
about to say something, and you started reading off your notes, and I was just like.
Maybe a little.
Speeches of
You
Normandy?
probably, yeah, you probably know all.
Yeah.
No, no, no,
I
no.
didn't get it, so-
Mark, you're having too much fun.
Okay.
Because I looked it up.
Are you ready?
Yes.
No, I mean, it's not 6 yet.
When you started
Oh,
reading
yeah,
off,
well,
I was
it is
like,
on my watch.
goodness,
I think that
Well,
one's
you-
screwed up.
They didn't
Yeah,
even
that one's
bring
screwed
up
up.
VHS and stuff.
Okay, it's 6 now, you can start.
Thank you, Mark.
Pretty tell over there.
Appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Planning Commission for October 10th. And it is our tradition to say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of all of our meetings. So stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Scouts.
All right,
That's
with
a
that,
throwback.
Terry, I would ask you to call the roll, please.
Chairperson Anderson,
Here.
Vice Chair Smith,
Here.
Secretary Semadalis, Commissioner Brody,
Here.
Commissioner Hoffmans,
Present.
Commissioner Pond,
Present.
Commissioner Sigmund.
Here,
Great, thank you. All right, now, we're gonna change our agenda a little bit. I know it says that we're gonna approve the minutes from our previous meeting, but we are gonna wait and do that at our October 24th meeting. Is that the date? So we're not going to be doing that right now. So with that, what I want to do is open the work session, but again, I want to welcome our Mayor Pro Tem Sean Murphy and our trustee Tim Hardy, who are with us for the steering committee meeting, as well as Tiffany Brody who's the executive director of Habitat for Humanity. I also want to welcome our 2 new commissioners. Who's sitting to my right, Mark Brody and Stacy Sigmund. So thank you, welcome, and this is our steering committee. I think Jeff isn't with us tonight from Love and Housing. And then online, I believe we have our representative from Thompson Valley School District, is that right?
Yes, Ryan Baker's on.
Ryan, all right, Ryan, hello. Can you hear us? Maybe some mute. All right, thank you. All right, with that, I think we can go ahead and start our presentation. I think, Tiffany, you were going to give us a presentation about Berkeley Habitat for Humanity.
Yes, indeed. Good evening. As you all know, I'm Tiffany Brody with Berkeley Habitat for Humanity. And I first just want to start out by saying thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you about the affordable housing crisis that we're experiencing, as well as about our nonprofit organization. So there is no surprise that we are experiencing this shortage, and it's all over the headlines. It's in policy discussions. Affordable housing is a real issue, not only in our country, but across the nation. And so I just want to share some statistics about supply and affordability for the state of Colorado. And you'll probably agree with me that they are a little alarming and really speak to the reason that we're going through this initiative. So Colorado's housing stock deficit is equal to 176,000 units. We would need 54,000 units produced each year in order to close that gap. COVID, as you probably know or can guess, certainly accelerated the rise in home prices between March 20 and October 21 to the tune of 27%. And 1 in 7 Colorado families spend more than 50% of their gross monthly income on housing, which equates to being severely cost burdened. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then this is a really interesting stat. In June of 2021, 13% of homes for sale were under 250,000, compared to 61% of homes for sale above the 500,000 mark. And so ultimately, there's about a $100,000 gap between the cost of construction compared to the sales price of an affordable home for us. And so ultimately, economic conditions, interest rates, and so forth, breaking the barrier into home ownership is certainly difficult, and buying power has been impacted for buyers across our state. And so this is a very recent report published in June of 2024 by the Common Sense Institute. Their data is certainly very lengthy, and so they produced this housing mismatch report. So the median value of owner-occupied housing has increased since 2010 by a staggering 132.4%. Whereas in contrast, the median household income over that same period of time has increased 65.2%. And so ultimately, 42% of households cannot afford a home above $300,000, yet 16% of homes are valued at $300,000 or less. And so the market is certainly, as you know, by being in the market out there where we live and along the Front Range, we are oversupplying at the higher price points rather than what we consider affordable for sale units. And the cost of for sale housing across the Front Range is certainly increasing at rates that are dramatically outpacing the income growth, further causing that disparity. And then what we need to do as a town is to really promote and build sufficient amounts of housing across the continuum so that there's rental opportunities affordable, and then on up from there so that we can serve individuals and families in the community. And so this report was as of August of this year, and it's put out on a monthly basis by the Fort Collins Board of Realtors. And I just want to highlight in there the median and average sales price. So now we're into the local market of Berthoud. So you'll see in August, look at that average sales price of $811,000, whereas the year-to-date average is $757,000. And then down below there, you'll see the townhouse and condo, so the attached versus the detached product, with a median sales price of $490,000 and the average tracking about the same. This next slide is comparing Berthoud to the entire multiple listing service between 2019 and 2024. And it's based on a rolling 12-month calculation. And you can see there that Berthoud is the blue line, whereas the entire MLS is the gray line. So you see those peaks and valleys and how much higher we are compared to the rest of the MLS. And then this screen shot is as of yesterday. I went ahead and polled the median list price, and we were at $714,000. And then I really think this is interesting. So this data is pulling the average sales price for Berthoud between January 23 and October of this year. And I just want you to let that sink in for a moment. And if you'll note the average sales price there on the left, with 900 being the high and 600 being the low. So what about affordable housing? We're not even on the map, right? And then this report is published by Habitat for Humanity Colorado on an annual basis. So our last report reflects 2023. And you'll see here that based on that data, the average resident cannot afford to buy a home in Berthoud. In 2023, the median household income at almost $102,000, whereas income needed to afford a median rent, which at that time was $1,500 for a two-bedroom unit, is $60,000. But the income needed to afford the median home price, which this is based on the Larimer County price point at $550 as of 2023, the income needed is almost $135,000. So you see there that essential workers, they're making $43,000 on average, $47,000 on average for a nursing assistant. They can't afford to live and work in the same community. And then this is where I mentioned earlier the cost burdened versus the severely cost burdened. And that is defined, so you'll see those number of individuals in our state, but households spending more than 30% of their income are considered cost burdened, whereas anything over 50% is severely cost burdened. And then in June of 2023, of the 1,114 homes for sale here in Berthoud, only 51 were listed at $350 or less. And then, of course, you tack on appreciation. And historically, in the Northern Front Range, we're on average gaining appreciation to the tune of 6%, and that's an average over a 30-year period. So our market continues to be very strong in Colorado, and that'll make more sense here in a moment too. So as we dive into Habitat for Humanity International, I really just want to share with you from a global perspective, down to the state level, down to our local level. And so the mission statement for Habitat is seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. And so at the international level, Habitat for Humanity International, as I refer to as HFHI in acronyms all the time, so if you hear that, we are a global nonprofit housing organization in all 50 states and across 70 countries. We were initially conceptualized on the Koinonia farm in Georgia by Clarence Jordan, but we actually became an official Habitat for Humanity International in 1976 in Americus, Georgia, and that is where our headquarters still reside today. And then, as you know, you can probably relate to Jimmy Carter and his late wife, Rosalind. They were very instrumental in really putting Habitat on the map from a global perspective, and we're very grateful for them. And then overall, and this is a very general number, but we have helped build, renovate, and repair more than 1 million homes for more than 5 million people around the world. And then at the state level, so Habitat for Humanity Colorado, or HFHC, was founded for affiliates by affiliates in 1992. They're also that 501c status, serving 23 affiliates across 45 Colorado communities. And so their sole purpose is really to help build the capacity at the local level they serve as the pass-through for state funding and financing. They advocate at the state level as well as national. We go to DC every year and we go down to the Capitol every year, all of the affiliates in Colorado. They provide technical and training assistance, and then they will certainly be called in and partner with HFHI for any disaster relief needs that we may have here in Colorado. And then here at the local level, this is what makes my heart soar. So in 1996, and I get teary-eyed, I don't know if that's ever going to go away. I'm just so honored to represent this organization. Oh, goodness. Peter Bridgman. I don't know, do any of you know Peter? Yes. So he volunteered with Loveland Habitat in 1996 and loved what they were doing there, and he wanted to bring it back to this community. So he enlisted the support also of Ricardo Haskins, Tom Patterson, and Thomas Jones. And I got to meet Thomas Jones at Oktoberfest for the first time ever, and it was a beautiful conversation that we had. They formed a committee and created what was then Berthoud Habitat for Humanity Limited in August of 1997. Conversations were happening. Doc and Helen Fickle donated the 5 acres on 4th Street where we have currently been building. And then we officially became Habitat for Humanity Incorporated in March of 2000, an official affiliate of HFHI. And so soon thereafter, the Restore opened and has been around, still is, and all of the proceeds benefit the building of our affordable homes. We commenced construction on the first new single-family home in 2001. And then the next two bullets are milestones for our organization. We partnered with Thompson Valley High School, where the students in the geometry and construction program build a house for us every single year. And then we move that from the high school and set it on a foundation. And then our volunteers finish out that work, and then we sell it to a homeowner. And then something really exciting is this year, we have partnered in a similar fashion with Cherry Creek Innovation Campus. They are down in Denver, obviously, and they are going to build a home for us this year, but we're looking at them producing 2 homes per year going forward. And then what is it that we do? And this is where a lot of misperception is out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding. You know, individuals think that maybe we focus on Section 8 or serve the homeless, which is not at all true. So what we do is we build affordable homes for individuals and family whose income falls within the 40 to 80% area median income as established by CHFA. And here's a graph here. So just to put that into perspective, a typical family size of 4, their income would have to fall on an annual basis between $47,520 to $95,040. I mean, would you all agree that's a pretty healthy salary, right? And so those individuals qualify for our homes. We serve as the developer, the builder, and the lender, and we offer a 30-year mortgage at 0% interest. The principal payment is based on 30% of the household's gross monthly income. We also, during the process from stem to stern, offer homeowner support and education. Many of these individuals have never owned a home, so there's that whole understanding and transition into understanding not to call the landlord, but this is their asset, their responsibility to take care of. So we go through an education process. We send them to 2 different classes on financing and budgeting, and then our construction director talks to them and walks through with home maintenance conversations, even being neighbors in the community. And ultimately, we preserve long-term affordability by way of a deed restriction. So we file a deed restriction for 30 years at every single closing. So that's runs with the land and is tied to our home. And then also we have a right of repurchase as well as a shared appreciation agreement. And I love sharing this information because until recently, we only had the right of repurchase. We did not also extend the opportunity to our homeowners to earn back that appreciation. They've always been able to gain the equity based on the payments that they made on their home for the time that they lived there. But until recently, our board put into policy that if they sell within the first 0 to 5 years, we don't extend that appreciation, but they are still entitled to their equity. But the 5th year on, they'll receive 2% of appreciation in alignment with the appraised value at time of sale, 2% every year thereafter for as long as they're in that home. And the reason that we don't offer the shared appreciation aspect for the first 5 years is really to make sure that we are running our business like a business and protecting them, because by offering them that 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 0%, that's quite, well, let's just be honest, it's unheard of. Habitat is the only space offering that to individuals. And so I just really want you to understand, again, getting past that misperception that may be out there, we underwrite our loans as a lender, just like any other lender that you would utilize when purchasing a home. And so we go through, we do have a requirement that, because we focus on community first, that they have to be a resident of Berthoud or Campion for 1 or more years. They must be a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. They have to demonstrate a housing need. And we have a homeowner selection committee that goes out and conducts an interview on site and tours their living conditions. And that matrix goes into making sure that we are processing in a fair and equitable manner in the event that we have more applicants than we have homes to assign at any given time. They have to have a history of being current and paying their bills on time. And this is a little bit redundant, but I just want to make sure that it's there also as an underwriting guideline that they must fall within that 40 to 80% area median income. Their debt to income ratio, just like us, has to be under 43% or less. And then we require a $2,500 down payment or closing costs. That's total. And then they have to be willing to partner with us. And this is really one of the beautiful things about Habitat, because an individual has to put in 250 hours of sweat equity, which 50 hours can be donated, but if it's, a couple or a family, there's a 500-hour requirement, whereas 100 of those hours can be donated. And that's really where we talk about what makes Habitat homes affordable and beneficial. And so our homes are primarily built by volunteers in the community. And with our homeowners working alongside them for their sweat equity hours, they're really building community within community. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. Just the relationships, and then the neighbors, the homeowners are volunteering time and they get to know one another throughout that process. We also receive in-kind donations, whether that's labor, building materials, supplies from different businesses or organizations. And then we really create mortgage capacity. And what is mortgage capacity? That is spending the 30% and no more of your gross monthly income on housing. Otherwise, they would be cost burdened. And then here, this just goes into a little bit more detail in terms of our homeowner support and education that we offer. And then our impact. Why do we do what we do, right? So homeownership is truly transformational. And as a realtor, one of the things that I loved about selling real estate was the fact that I could help individuals and families not only find shelter, safety, et cetera, the basic needs of life, but this is where we go home and we create those memories. We're raising our children. We're having community members over for dinner. Just think about all that happens in your home on any given day. And doesn't everybody deserve a decent place like that to live? But there are health benefits. So 91% of Habitat homeowners experience better mental health for themselves. 90% observed improvements in their family's health overall. And then 75% can more easily afford health care. We're making that housing cost much more in alignment. So then they have that discretionary income to spend on other needs and desires. And then from a financial stability standpoint, of course, again, being a realtor, I'm all about that, the generational wealth that can be created by homeownership, right? And we can use our appreciation to do other things in life that are in alignment with our values. So 81% of Habitat homeowners felt somewhat or more financially secure since moving into their Habitat home. 52% saw a decrease in the total number of public assistance programs. So that's amazing. And then from an educational standpoint, 98% of Habitat owners observed a stable or positive impact on their children's performance in school, whereas 2/3 of homeowners expect their children to earn a bachelor's degree or greater. And then the workforce. So I love this part too, because this identifies very clearly the top 5 work industries of Habitat homeowners, being healthcare, education, training, or library, office administrative support, transportation or warehousing, and sales and retail. And of course, what's not listed there, but we also know, is the service workers in the restaurants and so forth. And certainly, I think that we would endeavor to make sure that they have opportunity to live and work in the same community. And then lastly, 72.2% of homeowners reported that their work commute decreased, which has a compounding effect as well. And then so just to talk about our developments and what we have cooking. This is their images of our 4th Street subdivision. Is there anybody here that has not been up that road and seen them? Okay,
Field trip.
you'll have to come over and visit us. So we recently closed on our 21st home to date since we began in 2000. We'll soon close mid-November on our 22nd home. And then our 23rd home is the one on the right there, pictured those two. That is the house that will be for Trilby, a homeowner, who actually just retired from the school district. And she worked at Ivy for, I think, 25 some years. And so this home is for her, being built by students. And I think that that's very meaningful. And then other than that, our 24th home, we will have the ground excavated here shortly. And that will be stick-built by volunteers. And then Cherry Creek Innovation Campus that I mentioned earlier, they are constructing the home that will go to the north of where our office is currently located. And ultimately, we endeavor to find a space. We'd love to be in downtown and move our offices there so that we could sell the house that we're in, which is a 3-bed, 2-bath house, to a homeowner as well. And then and you all know probably that Larry Bebo, the developer of Harvest 47, recently donated 9 lots to Berthoud Habitat, and I've indicated them in orange, a little bit hard to see, but if you look closely, they are there. We anticipate commencement of construction spring of 2025. They just started within the last week and a half, moving dirt for the infrastructure portion. And then this slide, we own the 1.4-acre parcel of land adjacent to Berthoud Elementary to the west, kind of in between Vantage there and then the school. And so this is a concept plan to build 12 homes on that parcel of land. We recently, last week, I signed the contract with Tate & Associates Incorporated to provide professional engineering and survey services. So we will be putting forth those plans to the town as soon as we go through that process. And then we talk about future land acquisition and furthering our impact. To know me is to know that I cannot stand still. And I want things in motion to make a positive impact in the community. And so I'm in conversation and completing due diligence in consideration of a 10-acre parcel here in Berthoud that would allow us to build out 45 Habitat homes. I submitted a letter of intent to the state in hopes of receiving land banking Proposition 123 funds to help us acquire the land to do that. And I'm going to be bold and share with you that the vision I have for Habitat, as well as this community, is a large-scale development. Tim, you were talking about what they're doing in Vail recently, Hope Springs by Habitat for Humanity, Greeley Weld. I just met with that ED again last week and toured the property. What we could do if we focus on a large-scale development is not only provide housing inventory in the affordable space, but the sky's the limit, right? Why don't we capitalize on partnerships? We could partner with a multifamily partner so that we can bring more rental opportunities into Berthoud. We could partner with a child care center and help that. And ironically, last week I met Scott Bright, who owns ABC Child Care Centers. He has 25 in Colorado. He is the one, ironically, that partnered with Greeley Weld and is building the child care center in Hope Springs. And then also we would incorporate community parks and gathering spaces. So really, we just have to discuss, right? What are the options, what's possible, and how can we make it happen? And to do that, myself and the board and our staff, I recently hired a couple staff, went through a strategic planning process. It was called StratOp, and it was extremely meaningful. It was very purposeful and very targeted. And I'm really looking forward to executing that plan along with stakeholders in the community. But one of our key strategic priorities is to partner and develop those relationships and focus on advocacy for the space. And clearly, as I've evidenced this evening, there is a need for more affordable housing in our community. And we want to form those relationships in direct alignment with our mission. And we want to focus on Berthoud, but we know individuals, right? And Northern Colorado is such a community of giving. And people support one another, and they're really engaged to link arms. So not only when we focus on the town of Berthoud, but also larger scale, right? Northern Colorado in general, we've got contacts in Denver that I've been talking to about Habitat, Cherry Creek is an example. There's no reason why we need to have a scarcity mindset rather than one of abundance. And so focusing on and being very present at community events, partnering with developers and builders and vendors and businesses, individuals and families, volunteers, other nonprofits where are collaborative opportunities there. And then, of course, continuing on the federal and state advocacy realm, as well as focusing on grant and funding opportunities. Historically, our affiliate has not put a lot of concerted effort towards really any of this. So we will do just the opposite. And then, of course, development and fundraising and promoting our monthly giving circle with the idea that even if an individual gives $5 a month, that will compound over time. So if we can just build that awareness for that monthly giving circle campaign, it will have a positive trajectory for our community. And that is all. Any questions?
Thank you, Tiffany.
Yes.
Questions, steering committee? That does where they're going?
I had a question. How many Habitat houses have changed hands since they've been built?
That's a really good question. Since I've been on, we have sold, well, we have repurchased and sold one. In fact, Sean, I think it's only been this particular house.
Okay.
There was, as I understand it, a death, which provided an opportunity for obvious reasons to purchase it back. And then the next individual, if I recall, so I think that one house has turned over 3 times.
Okay.
To my knowledge, that's all.
Okay.
So not very often.
Weren't both those times kind of extenuating circumstances? It was the person, the death, and then the second time the person was very ill and had to move.
Yes, and something very cool came out of that. She was ill and had to move to a different state, and our affiliate ended up partnering with a Habitat affiliate where she desired to move, and we didn't get her into, we facilitated the introduction, and she went through the underwriting process, and now is a Habitat owner in that state.
Where she's closer to her family. I think that was part of the reason she had to move closer to her family to take care of her.
Yes.
Questions?
Does Habitat only build single-family homes, or have they done some multifamily type stuff too?
We have only built single family.
Well, I know
There
Berthoud
are
has, but-
Habitat affiliates that are building paired homes, for instance. Hope Springs is doing that. I believe Fort Collins. I haven't been up there to that project, but there are. I think it's just a matter of, it's an added layer of complexity because of HOA or, condo defect rules and regs, but it's possible, and we have started talking about it. Yeah.
Other questions, please?
Is there anything specific about Berthoud that makes it easier or harder to do these kinds of projects?
I think that's a good question.
Board makes it easier.
I would say not necessarily. I would just say municipalities in general, I think it would behoove them to partner in a way to make it easier, whether that's building code, land use, really what's on the scope of this housing steering committee, fee waivers. I think that's where we have the ability to make the most impact. So I'm really looking forward to having those conversations to really think outside the box and determine what that might look like.
Do you think that Berthoud's a small town, right? Not only in population, but also businesses that are here. Do you think that contributes to your, maybe not being able to fundraise quite as much as you have a smaller pool to work from?
Now that, yes, 100%. Because there are rules and regulations in the development and fundraising space that it's almost like crossing lines or sign crossing in the real estate world. We are not supposed to go outside of our geographic service area for development. However, the caveat is if we have a relationship with or a donor would come to us, then it's allowable. But it is very limiting, to your point. So for instance, if you compare Loveland, right, look at all the businesses they have to pull from. And if you go to nonprofit galas and you see their programs and all of the sponsors, that is limiting. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
That's where you get those relationships with somebody who lives here in Berthoud, who might have some sort of mega business in Loveland or College.
Exactly.
And they love their community and they bring that mega
Right.
business donation.
And to that point, I'd be curious, how many residents live in Berthoud but commute external to Berthoud, right? That'd be an interesting, yes.
Yep.
So I think, and especially if we want individuals to work and live in the same community, bringing forth more businesses and job opportunities, it all goes hand in hand, and it's cyclical.
I keep thinking about what we can do to help with this as far as, are there specific code challenges? Are there specific fees that are an issue? Hopefully. we can get
Yes,
some
and I would say,
recommendations.
so for instance, ordinance 847, it was established in 2000, and it affords us the opportunity for a fee waiver with the exception of $11,830 for water and wastewater. Did I mention a limit of 2 per year? So really, that's a barrier for
We've
us, and I
also
would hope
allowed-
to work with the town to increase the number that we could.
Yeah, we also changed our fee, well, get my mouth to work here, our fees based on the size of the lot. And then that enabled you guys to take your bigger lots, split them in half, so that you'd have those smaller lots, which also cut your fees, but then you also get the waivers as well.
Right.
So there's been quite a bit of things that planning commission and the town board has done over the years to,
And this
help
is where I
with
think
that.
leveraging Jeff's involvement from the Housing Authority is going to be really beneficial, and reaching out and maybe completing that due diligence to discover what municipalities are affording habitats by way of fee waivers, et cetera, just to get some context into what may be possible and may make sense for our town. And then there's also, Ann and I have talked very briefly over the last few months about, partnering together somehow for land and water banking, and what does that look like? And really just taking a step back, again, with anything possible and figuring out what works. And we can do that by continued conversation and collaboration.
Questions, comments?
I love the Restore. Does it work? Does it turn a profit? Does it actually help
yeah.
you achieve your
Oh my
goals?
goodness, yes,
Yeah.
it turns a profit. And honestly, the Restore is the only thing that has kept Habitat for Humanity afloat
Wow.
here in Berthoud all these years. Because again, going back to that development conversation, there has never been a concerted effort on growing that donor base or establishing and cultivating those relationships. And so without that Restore, right? And today it continues to thrive. And part of our strategic initiative as a board is going to discuss expansion opportunities. Because we just have that footprint, and the whole second level, we really can't store any product for sale, so it's wasted space. So we're dealing with about 4,500 square feet. And if you look at our revenues, we are one of the highest producing per square foot, hands down, which is amazing. But what does it mean that we're limited? We can't take building materials. We have to limit the furniture just because we don't have the space. So I really want to have a very in-depth conversation with the board. What does that mean? Do we purchase a separate location and have certain products there? Or we own that building, so it's an asset. So we just need to really figure out, do we lease it out? Do we sell it? Do we relocate? Do we move our administrative office and incorporate it into the Restore footprint? Because then it would be less confusing to the public, right? Because they don't necessarily understand that we're not the Restore and the Restore isn't us. So, yeah, that's
Cool.
exciting.
space up on First Street.
Yeah.
That's where it almost moved before they
Did
built
it?
their first, yeah, they were looking at that location that's for sale up on First Street at one point.
Okay.
And then they moved into where Cobblestone Corner is, because
Yes.
something happened.
And
with the
then,
first place.
yes,
But the first place would be cool, because you have a big lot, you could do your construction materials, car sales, and have plenty of floor space for all those big bulky items. But anyway,
isn't it exciting to think about?
I know, it's just, like, it was, as soon as you said looking for a second location, it's like, oh, what's for sale in Berthoud?
Yeah, I've got Gary, because I hang my license there with
Yeah.
Gary Maggi. I've got him looking, and community members in the town, just to, again, what's possible.
Space, space, space.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny, it's great how Berthoud's just, I think, surprised all the other Habitat for Humanities in the other areas. I mean, I can remember hearing conversations about, oh, Berthoud, you shouldn't be on your own, you can't do it, you need to merge with us, you know,
Yes.
work with us. And Berthoud's always just been kind of like, nope, nope.
Well, and
We're
an
gonna do it.
interesting tidbit, I believe it was, you had to have a population, I want to say it was 15,000 to even become an affiliate of Habitat International. And at that time in 2000, I think our population was 4,000 or 5,000, if I remember right. So that is a gift, right?
There was some cleverness in there.
Yes,
for sure.
right.
You can get to Peter and Tom and how they got all that happening.
And so grateful they did.
They,
So it truly is an honor to lead an organization, focus on community engagement to further our impact while honoring our legacy and founding members. It's pretty amazing.
they sold it all.
Don't you have a very, kind of a new fundraiser coming up for Habitat?
Yes, the Habitat Hoedown, yes. That is October 26th, and that is, historically, our affiliate has had a 5K run or casino night, which many of you have probably been to. So we wanted to do something a little bit different, and we're gonna have live music there, an auctioneer. It's gonna be a really good time. And that'll be, and I'm happy to report that as of today, we are 93% to our goal already. So that just means we can do more.
Awesome.
Do you have any questions? No? Do you have any?
I could make a comment or two.
Okay.
If I could permit.
I think so.
I've worked with 3 different habitat organizations. I haven't worked with the Berthoud one. With the Longmont one, I did work on some townhomes. They had some in South Loveland, Longmont, and they were working on some in Lyons, rebuilding after the flood there. My first experience was 5 trips down to Biloxi after Hurricane Katrina.
Biloxi, Mississippi?
Yes.
Okay.
Northern Virginia Habitat had an agreement with Mississippi Habitat. Mississippi Habitat would build new homes. Northern Virginia Habitat would restore homes. So I worked on restoring homes.
Nice.
And when my wife was an intern in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Millard Fillmore came and made a presentation there, so I got a chance to meet him.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that impact on the neighborhood revitalization or the rehab was just as impactful?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were many organizations there. Habitat was only one. Samaritan's Purse was another. And we were rebuilding homes all over that part of Biloxi.
Okay.
And
That's
the
great to hear.
The Air Base people came in. I went down, I worked for 2 weeks. My house leader left me in charge, a total newbie. I had no idea what I was doing. And I had 25 airmen coming in on the weekend to help. And I said, what am I going to do with these people? But they split them up, and I had about half of them at the house, and we were painting. And I discovered that the one airman was an expert painter. He was in charge. Even his colonel was under him for the painting, and they got a big kick out of flipping rolls for the weekend. So it's been a great experience.
Wonderful. I love hearing that. And we'd love to have you volunteer with us.
I'm sure you would.
I know where you
And
live,
also to
Mr.
that
Wilson.
point, my board of directors is aware that that is another strategic thing that I would like to really marinate on and see what's possible for a future program, which would be that neighborhood revitalization, because then we could impact the community outside of homeowners that need homes, that already have homes in the community, and help preserve and keep things nice. Yes, thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have comments, questions? Great.
Nope.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Tiffany.
Of
I
course.
really appreciate your providing us with this information. It helps to illuminate, I think it can illustrate for us what the need is. And we're gives us some ideas where we can go. So with that, our Community Development Director, Ann Johnson, is going to give us a presentation about the intent of Proposition 123 and the Dola Moore Housing Now grant.
Yep, so as we now are winding down the community engagement chapter of this program, this housing steering committee, to not necessarily just look at affordability, but we're looking at housing diversity across all spectrums of housing in Berthoud. We're analyzing our land use code to determine what are the impediments to all types of housing, to all types of development. And so where we are right now is we've completed 2 public engagement events where we've been out in the public. We have a survey going right now, and I believe the first day we had over 150 respondents. It's been open a week now, and we're in the couple hundreds. I did not check in with AIRS, and I don't know if anybody from AIRS is on.
Carlin's on.
Oh, good. Carlin, do you know where we are?
Jerry.
She'll figure it, yeah, she'll figure it out. She probably has to look it up. And then your input, they completed some interviews with builders, with developers, with businesses in town, and with the leadership team at the town of Berthoud. So AIRS is going to be taking all of that data and presenting that to you coming up in the next weeks to month. And then from that moment in time, they're going to say, based on the information that we have gathered from Berthoud, and then they're also going to be looking at regional data, what would their recommendation be for our code or any programs or policies? So while they're doing that, and I just wanted to kind of bring it home and back to our comprehensive plan. So again, the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees have recently had some sessions on the comprehensive plan, but the item here that's in such large type that you all can read it, one of the vision statements is with attractive residential neighborhoods served by thriving businesses. So what does it mean to be an attractive, thriving neighborhood? That can be any type of housing. And in order to get more thriving businesses in Berthoud, we need more rooftops. So they go together. Then the next item here is, so Proposition 123, in 2022, the voters elected in the state of Colorado to create the State Affordable Housing Fund. And what that fund was intended to do was land banking. And does everybody understand what land banking is? Okay, so that's when you would go out and speculatively purchase land and hold it with the intent of doing a particular type of development. So through Colorado, the State Affordable Housing Fund, they will give money to organizations or communities to go and purchase this property and hold it for a specific use, and that would be for housing. You can do that with water as well. They also will provide low-interest loans, down payment assistance, and then local capacity and code review. So some of the funding is being managed through the Division of Housing, and some of the funding is being managed through the Division of Local Affairs, or DOLA. So in Proposition 123, the intent was to increase housing diversity, availability, and communities that sign on to Proposition 123 make a commitment to increase the availability of affordable housing by 3% every year for 3 years. And communities that opt in to Proposition 123, then those communities, as well as affiliate partnership programs such as Habitat for Humanity, then have access to the hundreds of millions of dollars that are available through this State Affordable Housing Fund. Communities that don't opt in can't apply for that funding.
Wasn't the first round just awarded recently, of Prop 123 money? I saw something on the news, and I want to say it was like $60 or $70 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. And I know that they had an initial go at some money last year, and this might be the first
Current,
big
yeah.
pot that's come available. So on exactly 1 year ago today, the town of Berthoud decided to opt into
Oh.
Proposition 123. So we had letter of support from Habitat for Humanity, the town trustees, and from the Loveland Housing Authority also supplied letters of support for the town. And what this means is then the town has an established baseline. And in your agenda memo tonight, there was one talk of we needed 60 houses, and then in another area we needed fewer. It's because when it was initially presented to the town board of trustees, we did need to have 20 a year. But then after we opted in, I worked with DOLA to bring our number down based on it's this calculation where we utilize area median income or the county median income or the state's median income to get to a number where we thought we could achieve. And so DOLA helped us kind of shuffle the numbers around to come to a lower amount. Oh, 300 surveys have been
Wow.
received in
That's
1 week.
awesome.
So that's great. Thank you, Terry.
Mhm.
Thanks, Carlin. And what opting into Proposition 123 does, it establishes our goals and it opens financing pools for partners. So the town doesn't have to be the one that's out there saying, we want to acquire this land or we want to acquire this asset or do these things, but it allows our partners the ability to do that. So again, Berthoud's baseline is 13 housing units a year for 3 years, starting last year. So where are we today? 3. So in 1 year, 3 homes have sold for under $425,840. And those are homes with building permits that are issued after the date that we signed on. So it's brand new construction. We've had no rental type housing constructed in Berthoud, so that's 0. All right, so I'm not going to read all of these to you, but Berthoud's commitment, we then because we signed on, we were able to get the grant to do this work, to review our code, to review the statistics, the data, and develop what is Berthoud's role in that 54,000 number of units every year for the state of Colorado that we need to come up with. So what is our role? What can we do? What type of housing is a good fit for Berthoud? Because certain types of housing and certain types of residents need certain types of services. And can Berthoud provide all those services that are needed? That's what AIRS is going to help us figure out. So our commitment is to inventory the current range of options. You can see all of the commitment items that we made to DOLA as an outcome of this Housing Now grant. One of the things on item number 9 is to develop an action plan. So that will help us determine what do we need to do to activate this wide-ranging portfolio. And you all are going to be leading that, and then the final presentation will be to the Board of Trustees. So these are all the things that we have to do. Then Berthoud, by signing on and receiving this More Housing Now grant, these bullet points on the slide are deliverables that DOLA expects from the communities. And Berthoud just has to do one. Why stop at one? We're overachievers, right? And some of these items that are already on this list, Berthoud already does. But how can we look at that and see, can we push it a little bit more? Or is it not working? What do we need to do to rewind things? So, for example, an expedited development review for acquiring or repurposing underutilized commercial property. We already do that. Expedited development review. Berthoud has a neighborhood master plan, which replaces a concept plan. Usually a subdivision process is a 3-step process. Concept, preliminary, final. And then oftentimes communities will not review construction documents until after they've received approval of the final plat. Berthoud requires 80% construction documents at preliminary plat, and then 100% construction documents to be reviewed with the final plat. And if you're going to change the zone, if you're going to do a preliminary plat and you don't have a neighborhood master plan, you do it all at the same time. And the neighborhood master plan sets the stage for the preliminary plat. So in Berthoud, we have expedited things. We have eliminated some of those processes. And if a developer comes in and follows the rules from the beginning, they will get through the land development process quickly. If they don't, then they won't. And we tell people every day, quality in means quality out. Help us help you. Affordable housing as a use by right in residential zoning districts. So in Berthoud right now, in the traditional R1 or residential 1 single family residential zoning district, Berthoud allows duplexes by right. So you don't have to do a site plan, and those are paired homes. So ADU, accessory dwelling units by right in single family zoning districts. Berthoud already does that. So heirs will be taking a look at the accessory dwelling units. Small square footage residential unit sizes, we already do that. They're gonna look at those components of what we're already doing and saying, all right, is that industry standard? Could we be going further? Or what do we need to unwind? And then from this list, what could we be doing already? As Tiffany mentioned, we already reduced some local government fees or subsidize them for 2 homes a year from Ordinance 847. So is there an opportunity to do more? Would the town be eligible to work with Habitat for Humanity to do water banking? So then we could actually waive those water fees. But there's a lot that we can look at. It's big, and the last bullet is other novel, innovative, and creative approaches. So it leaves the door wide open for us, and AIRS is going to help us out with that. So then the last slide, kind of bringing it back, because as a planner, everything that we do is based on the comprehensive plan, and everything that we do is based on our land use code. And you amend your comprehensive plan, and then the next 2 years you spend time catching up your land use code to mirror the vision in the comp plan. So that's what we've done the past 18 months. So again, in this slide with the font is really large, everybody can read it. On the community vision, again, the importance of equity and inclusion was also significant to the community. So the town of Berthoud did a lot of community outreach as part of this comp plan, and that was one thing that the town said that they wanted. Again, the vision statement with attractive residential neighborhoods served by thriving businesses, going over to achievable goals. That 5th goal in the comprehensive plan is housing diversity. One of the key strategies is employing a Transect best planning approach for local land use management and placemaking. And just as a reminder, Transect-based planning is more of a form and function style planning than it is that old-fashioned Euclidean zoning where you just have this little bubble of this type of use and then this. It's more of the suburban residential, suburban commercial is less dense. The urban residential, bless you, urban commercial is more dense. And the town wants to see a dense heart developed and then fan it out to less dense on the fringe. That's what Transect planning was, and that was adopted with this comp plan. Another key strategy is to provide a mix of housing, goods, and services that meet the varying needs, budgets, and life stages of residents. So my husband and I, unfortunately, we're empty nesters now. And we look at, well, where would we want to move? And would we need to move from our house to a one-level ranch someday? And how can we do that? And we're looking at places we'd want to move. We can't afford to downsize. So we're stuck hoping we have a lot of grandchildren that come to visit someday, or adopting grandchildren. And we can't afford to downsize. So we're stuck in that area. We have a 4-bedroom home that could be great for a family, but where are we going to go? So again, it's looking at the full life stage of a house. And then the vision on the right-hand side, one of the key strategies for the vision that retains its small town feel and a sense of community is enjoying that Transect planning approach and land use management and placemaking. And then down at the vision, you can tell I have bifocals because I have to move them around. It's a place with attractive neighborhoods and thriving businesses. So again, the achievable goals are housing diversity and economic resiliency. And a key strategy is providing a mix of housing, goods, and services that meet the varying needs, budgets, and the life stages of residents. So again, everything that we're doing, we are bringing it back to the comp plan. We're bringing it back to our land use code. Because again, those are our marching orders. Here's the vision document. How are you going to implement it? And what are you going to do to get us to what we believe was the best vision for the town of Berthoud? How are we going to get there? And this is one step. So with that, that's it. I just wanted to bring it all back, kind of how we got here. The town trustees signed on to Prop 123. You know what? I bet there are a lot of communities that don't have one. And so I'm happy that we have 3. And we have to remember that when we signed on to Prop 123, it's the building permits that were issued after that date. So there could be some buildings that are in process, but it takes 6 months to build a house. So we might not be seeing the full fruit of that commitment for another 6 months. I don't know. With only 3, it makes me a little nervous. And so I keep looking at the, at the neighborhoods, and I'm doing manual entry of every building permit issued in the town. Every day I'm spending time doing manual entry for reporting. And I'm seeing that the cost of construction on some in affordable neighborhoods is $260,000. Well, then I'm thinking in the back of my mind, okay, what's the cost of the land? What was the cost that the developer had to put in for water, for infrastructure, for all those things? So I'm just looking at the builder's out-of-pocket cost for the construction of the home, but not the underlying costs of getting to build the house on that lot. And thinking, well, $260,000, and our building permit team Safe Built, they're checking that valuation too, because I'm sure nobody would assume that somebody would devalue their property to get a cheaper building permit, right? So, and then the cost of the building permit goes on top of that. So there are a lot of checks and balances in there, and I'm just thinking 260 to 425, that's like $150,000 between the cost to build and our target. And what's happening with that gap? What's in that gap? What's going in there?
It's only gonna get bigger too.
Yeah, So I'm anxious to hear what AIRS has to say when they've talked to the builders and the developers about that. And then I want to talk to some builders and just find out, I know what you say you're building it for, and then I know what it's being sold for. Help me understand the math behind this gap. Because communities can take things so far, we can't solve everything. It has to be, so it's local planning and building departments, realtors, the builders, the developers, everybody needs to come together and try to fix this. But again, the bullets on this list tonight were things that we are going to contribute and how we're going to go to that 50-yard line. But we need everybody else to come with us to figure it out together. So that's where we are, just to bring it all home. And next time, Carlin, I don't know if you're able to talk or not, but the next time we meet is actually going to be, I think, a pretty hefty night. So just to warn y'all. And Madam Chair, we might not want to open Planning Commission for this one, but on the 24th, Loveland Housing Authority is going to speak from 6 to 6:30. From 6:30 to 7:30, AIRS is going to speak, and they're going to talk about kind of those next steps and their initial findings. And then Planning Commission will actually start at 7:30. And Planning Commission that night, there are going to be 2 land use hearings, and one might be controversial just from surrounding property owners. So then we will ask our valued town trustees to leave. Because these will come to you.
And is there no way to bifurcate those meetings, so like maybe we'd meet Tuesday and also Thursday that week, or is that just not possible?
Well, Tuesday that week is a town board meeting. And we can't, it's the Planning Commission at 7:30 has been advertised now. So it will be late, I'm sorry. There will be a lot.
So make sure you eat dinner ahead of time.
Yes, yeah, and maybe we'll have snacks. And then on Planning Commission on the 14th, right now we don't have anything scheduled, but Planning Commission on the 12th will potentially be AIRS. If they have everything finished, they may come on the 14th of November and present some findings and that final look ahead and make sure you all are okay with the direction. And then over the next couple months in the winter, they're going to plow through and make some suggested changes to the land use code.
Finding number 3, is it this one? Which one is it presenting on the 14th?
Oh, AIRS may present on the 14th. Right now, we don't have any land use applications that are ready to come to you.
Okay.
A couple are close. On the 14th, we will not have Planning Commission on Thanksgiving. I know you'll all miss us, miss each other. So there's one Planning Commission in November and one Planning Commission in December. So it'll be December 12th, and then we will not have Planning Commission on Christmas Eve.
Thank you.
We can exchange stockings if you celebrate. So that is, we only have 3 planning commissions left for the year. And on the 12th, we will meet early and we will have a potluck.
Thank you.
Yes. And just share some closing down the year together.
Sounds good.
All right, so do you have any questions about Prop 123, about our housing grant, about what those next steps look like for this steering committee?
Can you remind us of the timeline again that we had originally? And obviously we have the AIRS presentations coming up, but at what point will we be reviewing a draft report or discussing draft recommendations?
Probably January, February timeframe. So again, on either the 14th of November or the 12th of December, AIRS is going to report on all of their findings from data collection from statistics as well as the feelings and opinions of those that they've interviewed on either the 14th of November or the 12th of December. And then at that moment in time, they are also going to say, based on this input and based on the DOLA requirements of just one, but we might be overachievers, and based on an analysis of our current land use code, they are going to bring to you some suggestions on how we could incorporate more housing diversity based on a review of our code. So they'll be presenting that to you all for discussion, and then you will make a decision on which of those options you would like them to proceed forward with. And then from there, for, a month or 2 months, they'll be redlining the code, just light redlining, hopefully, and present that to you to say, are you okay with this? And if you are, then we'll take it to the town board in whole and let them know these are the findings of the Housing Steering Committee. We'll be relying on Mayor Pro Tem Murphy and Trustee Hardy to also make sure that, yes, staff isn't making stuff up. And that, yes, this is based on, right now, 300 surveys in week 1, our findings and our recommendations. And then if everybody's on board, then staff then will bring back those red lines to Planning Commission and go to the Town Board of Trustees in a formal public hearing.
Just one other thing I wanted to just mention for folks who may not know, the public engagement so far has been the survey, which just started like a week ago. But then they've been to 2 events, right? They were at Oktoberfest this last Saturday, and then one before there was, excuse me, over by the rec center, some of a soccer event, or was it?
Yes, when they had a full day of outdoor sports activities, they were able to talk to parents and families bringing their kids to and from games. They've also interviewed builders, they've interviewed developers, they've interviewed primary employers in Berthoud. They interviewed business owners, and then they interviewed leadership team from Berthoud. And I think realtors were in that mix as well, one of those mixes. And so they've done a lot of, pretty strategic by group interviewed panels. The 2 community engagement opportunities, and then the survey.
Is there any opportunity, I don't know if the Thompson School District, Valley School District people are still on or not, is there any opportunity to leverage that survey with families that send kids to school in Berthoud? Because obviously how schools and overcrowding and sending them to Loveland versus keeping them here in Berthoud is a big question as well. So I don't know if that's something that the school district could help out with or not.
Hey, Ryan, I don't know if you can hear us. I kind of feel like are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Ryan, can you hear us?
And we all look up because the microphones are seated.
Is he there?
He's going to the fridge.
Well,
disappear.
I'm hoping that, the survey and the link to the survey went out to everybody. And I'll follow up with Ryan on Tuesday and just find out if there's a mechanism that he can, as the school liaison to this team. I think Ryan and I actually have a quarterly call on Tuesday anyway. Talk about how we can potentially get this out in Friday folders or put it on the school link, something like that. But we'll follow through. That's a great suggestion.
And I asked Debbie Long to share it with LBAR, which is Loveland Berthoud Area Association of Realtors. That survey went out to them as well, their whole database.
Good suggestions, I think. Anything else you want to share with us at this point?
Oh, not about housing.
What else?
So are we done with the work session?
We can formally end our work session.
Unless-
Is everyone agreeable on this?
Did anybody have anything they want to comment on?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we have found our engineer that is going to head up the community development review column. And again, we tried finding an overall town engineer, and we were unsuccessful to find the right candidate. And so instead, we're dividing this now between two columns. One column will be the owner's rep as well as project manager for capital projects. And they have an interim solution in right now with Jeremy Ollinger, the deputy town administrator, and Keith Knoll, the public works director. They have an interim solution. And they're going to be looking for somebody. And then we're looking for somebody that will head up the community development review engineering team. And we got somebody, and he starts on the 28th of October, and it's somebody from Baseline. So they already know the town. They already have history with the town. So it's not going to be a steep learning curve. And this individual asks great questions and is very collaborative and really is excited to be part of the town of Berthoud as an employee. And then we're going to be building out that column of community development with some inspectors that actually work for the town and perhaps another engineer that work for the town. So we will be their main focus. And I'm so excited. And so, you know, thanks to Chris Kirk that had that vision, and thanks to the town trustees, because it is budget season. We're going to be asking, you know, for budget. So just, you know, heard it here.
She's kind of peering over at you two.
Yeah, but it is very exciting, and our team is,
Show me the money.
so the planning team will potentially be expanding, the building team expanded and actually replaced and refitted, and then building that engineering team. So we're really excited.
Wonderful. All
Great.
good things.
Congrats.
And super excited to see a full planning commission.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because it's embarrassing if you have to continue due to lack of quorum. So, you know, things happen in people's lives and you can't be here, but if it becomes a consistent issue, then, you know, we've got a challenge. And I know we have somebody that might be taking some time off.
Consistent issue.
Something happened in her life.
But
Take
you'll be
control
back.
of your life. Liv.
I
You'll be
know.
back.
You'll be back.
I will be back,
You're not
yes.
getting off that easy.
And now that I hear we have 3 meetings left this year, I'm like, oh, I really need a plan. I really need a plan. It's coming.
But we're excited, and again, every time we come and talk about housing, it's good, and just because you're being spoken to and have these presentations made to you, we have some difficult questions that we need to talk about coming up. We have some difficult decisions to make, and this is a safe space. And sometimes when we're talking about housing, it might be really messy to get where we need to go. So I think if we can just be brave enough to have these messy conversations, we're going to get to somewhere where we need to be.
Thank you for saying that, because I think we're not going to get to where we'd like to be if we don't feel comfortable speaking our minds about issues and brainstorming. So I have to say that, and these gentlemen, I'm not trying to exclude you, but I know from the Plan Commission members I've worked with, they're, you know, we have a great collaborative group, and I think we all feel like we can speak our minds and that kind of thing. Please realize that that's kind of who we are, you know? So thank you for saying that. Appreciate that.
Yep, and talking about things, deliberating things, discussing the unintended consequences. In the end, we can't please everybody, and we're not going to, there's something I learned in college is if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all be as happy as kings. We can't if and but things to death either. We just have to make decisions, vet them out with some unintended consequences, and then move forward. So I think we all can get there. And that, honestly, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Sam.
I appreciate
Crystal
your hope
clear.
there at the end. I think
Yeah.
that's great. All right. Anything else that we as a group need to bring up at this point? questions, concerns? Can we all know when the next meeting is? Anybody know now that they may not be able to attend?
The next two I'm gonna be a problem with.
Okay, so we know that. I'm gonna write that down about Stacy. She's not gonna be able to make the 24th meeting, and
And I did mention, and I may just, if it's
24th and
okay,
14th,
I can be on the phone with those. I know I can't count towards your quorum or participation, but I may join you for the early part of the meeting, just to hear some of the housing stuff, so at least I'm staying in the loop on all of it.
well, if
And
you're,
then won't be able to, I know I can't contribute on the plan commission side of it, but I'll try to join that early if I can.
well, if you're on Zoom during the actual plan
Yeah.
commission meeting, you can participate with us.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy to be there, just two dates that I had before I knew I was appointed to this, that I'm out of town.
Yep,
And
and I
the
know,
hurricanes are making that less certain, but.
and I know sometimes we have problems with participation if somebody is like out of cell range and we hear half of their conversation. I think, the trustees have said no participation because of those issues.
Okay.
If we have a problem with quorum, we might try to do something, but you are more than welcome to sit on for the whole meeting. Even the hearing part, you just, we'll listen.
I think we have before, when we were having a quorum problem, allowed our commissioners to participate on Zoom, but yeah. Okay, now I understand. Okay, anything else we need to talk about? All right, with that, I think we're adjourned, and I know, Mark, I should let you do this.
When I started on the planning commission, it was all of us.
Is it, okay, is it COVID?
Yeah.